Classic 4th of July weather coming up in Western New York. I'm meteorologist Don Paul. Welcome to my podcast, Don Paul's Bits o' Blather on weather, climate, and this time around, warm but no heat wave in sight around here. Preceding the 4th on Wednesday, we're going to have what's called a downslope breeze, a southerly breeze much of the day, which is a drying and warming wind. And while it's going to boost temperatures, it's also a wind which allows some compression of the air on its way down to lower elevations, which will hold the increase in humidity back a ways, so that most of Wednesday should be rain free, breezy, and noticeably warmer. Afternoon high temperatures getting to the upper 80s, a little bit cooler in some of the valleys. But late in the day, some scattered convection will be approaching us with an area of low pressure well to our west, and some scattered showers and thunderstorms will be around Wednesday evening for pre-4th boaters Wednesday evening. You're going to want to keep an eye on the horizon to the west for thunderstorms. It doesn't look like a widespread severe weather outbreak, but the Storm Prediction Center does have Western New York at a marginal 5% risk of severe storms. That could come as early as late tomorrow afternoon, but most of the daytime hours on Wednesday will be rain free. Boaters, you'll be dealing with wave heights that get kind of choppy in the afternoon, up to 3 feet, winds and waves higher in and near thunderstorms. That goes for Wednesday evening too, although the actual wind will begin to diminish later Wednesday night. And Wednesday night, we will mugify. You'll notice it. Not the kind of oppressive heat and humidity we had a couple of weeks ago, but it is going to be rather uncomfortable with light winds for some people. And there's another thing that happens when you have light winds and kind of a sticky atmosphere. The mosquitoes, they can come out and find us. So insect repellent should be de rigueur, both Wednesday night and on the night of the 4th. They're going to be out there, those mosquitoes, and you can find insect repellents in the supermarket. DEET is one of the most favored repellent ingredients. If you're not sure, just ask the pharmacist. There are a couple of ingredients that work well, but some of the so-called natural insect repellents have been proven thus far not to work well. So you're better off with the known commercial preparations. I'm not here to plug any brand. Now, on the day of the 4th, it looks to be partly sunny and somewhat muggy, but not oppressive. Afternoon high temperatures getting up to the low to mid 80s, but again, a light wind. Boaters, wave heights mostly a foot or less. I can't totally rule out an isolated shower during afternoon heating, but it does look like an essentially rain-free 4th of July, and the night of the 4th looks rain-free as well. Now, for fellow doggy lovers and doggy owners, we know about fireworks and the real torture they can be to our beloved pets. If you're lucky enough to have central air conditioning, it can serve a twofold purpose Wednesday and Thursday nights. A, it'll keep you more comfortable when you're indoors, and B, the closed windows will help to mitigate some of those horrific booms and bangs for the pups and the dogs. So that's a good reason to perhaps spend a little bit of extra cash on your electricity bill, and you won't stick to vinyl when the central air is on. Now, once we get into Friday, there is going to be a frontal boundary near us, which may tend to trigger a few showers and thunderstorms on a rather muggy day with high temperatures coming up again to the upper 80s. But then an area of low pressure attached to those fronts will approach us Friday evening and give us a better chance of somewhat more numerous scattered showers and storms. We may have to monitor those Friday evening storms for intensity. There's no outlined risk yet, but the atmospheric instability is going to be increasing. The boundary will still be near us on Saturday, but it currently looks like most Saturday coverage on a partly sunny day will be sparse. So we're not talking about any washout on Saturday, but still a little unsettled. Temperatures getting up to the mid 80s. A cool front will go by, and Sunday is looking like the settled of the 2 weekend days with a nice brisk west-south breeze and temperatures back down to the low 80s and somewhat more comfortable humidity. In the extended range, it appears that the extreme heat will be focusing over the interior of the western United States next week, not so much on the immediate Pacific coastline, but inland, some life threatening heat in parts of the desert southwest. You know how hot it is there under normal circumstances, and we're looking at some big positive anomalies for Phoenix and Las Vegas, temperatures in the mid 100 teens, which you can say, oh, it's a dry heat. No one is acclimated to mid 100 teens if they're caught outdoors unprepared. And on those occasions where a monsoonal flow gets in and some scattered showers and thunderstorms show up in New Mexico and Arizona and southern Colorado, they can produce rapid or flash flooding in some of the river canyons for campers. So that'll have to be kept an eye on. And there will be steam heat over much of the central and southern plains and over the south and the Gulf states and Florida, with high humidity combined with temperatures in the 90s, making it truly oppressive even for those who claim to be acclimated to that kind of thing. There are some distant hints as we get toward mid-July, the 15th, 16th, and 17th, that while the heat dome high pressure ridge will not be moving back to the northeast as it did 2 weeks ago, heat will begin to rebuild in the Great Lakes, getting temperatures more above average. In fact, next week in the eastern Great Lakes, temperatures are going to be close to average, pretty comfortable. It's the week after, mid July, when we're going to start to see heat and humidity rebuild. So that's it for now. Have a wonderful 4th. If necessary, I will update you on here. I've also got a brand new article in the Digital Buffalo News with a forecast and extended outlook, the latest on unprecedented Hurricane Beryl. It's the most overused word, but Beryl really is the real deal for unprecedented. The earliest Category 5 hurricane in Atlantic Basin record. And also, it's the first Atlantic hurricane coming off Africa as a tropical wave so early in the season. Typically, those tropical waves don't begin to come off Africa until later in the season, developing into more powerful hurricanes. This one's beginning to weaken now, running into some wind shear aloft, but it had peak winds early this morning of 165 miles an hour with stronger gusts. Now heading toward the southern Caribbean and eventually the Yucatan Peninsula, and it may reemerge over the southwestern Gulf next weekend in tropical storm strength, but intensity forecasts that far in advance are not highly reliable. So it is possible there will be some re-intensification next weekend as it enters the Gulf. And I'll have you updated here and on social media on that as well. So running a little long, I'm going to shut up now. Please share, please follow.